everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. All right, this is number 8 in my little series of Christmas gift treat ideas. This is a box that I make. I've done this several times for craft shows. This time I'm using Miss Carolyn's Christmas chip bag series, and I've done videos on those and how to fill them. I will link those in the description box, but we are going to make this today, and I'm going to show you what I put in it, and these are something I do for my craft shows. They also make great gifts, and you have time to make some for your special ones for Christmas. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to lay this right here. This is my little recipe card, but we're going to go through these steps together so that if you need a snapshot of it, you can take one if you so desire to do this project. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to focus on the bottom. I'm going to cut the bottom. I am going to cut the top at the same time just so I don't have to drag my scoreboard in and out. So I've done these many times, but I haven't taught it, so bear with me. This is going to be my bottom, this is going to be my top, and this is going to be for the insert of the box and the edges. Okay, and you'll see when we get to that what I mean. All right, so I'm going to move that aside, and I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. So we have some funky little measurements here, but it's very important that you follow these measurements. The bottom, not so hard, because it's a straight 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to go 8 1/4. Which side do I want? It doesn't matter. When I get to scoring, I'll do the right side. So I'm going to go 8 1/4. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm at 8 1/4. Just get that little quarter edge off there, and then I'm going to 10 1/4. And I don't like to push up on it too much because I don't want it to bunch in 10 1/4 up here and then get a wrong cut. All right, so I have my bottom. Now the bottom, I think this one I grabbed, it's 110 weight. It's gonna get sturdier as I add things to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. And then we're gonna bring in the bottom, the top cardstock. And this is gonna be 8 1/16 by 10 1/16. This matters, okay? If you cut it wrong, your lid's not going to fit on top of the box. All right, so I need to do a 8 1/16. So your 8 1/16 is going to be right in between your 8 and your 8 1/8. Okay, so it's between every 8th, if this is helpful, between every 8th there's a 16th. So 1/16, 3/16, 5/16, 7/16, and that's how they run in odds. Same as you're going to find with your 8s. 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8. Okay, so we're working on the 16th. So we are going to cut 8 1/16, which, like I said, is between the 8th and the 8. And then we're gonna go, oh, I cut the wrong side. Darn it. Okay, I need to get another piece of paper. Okay, I got another sheet of paper. I was going to edit that part out, but you know what? I'm going to leave it in there because I make mistakes too. So I'm going to do the long side at 10 and 1/16. So I'm going to bring it over here so you can see it. So my 10 and the little notch right after the 10 is 1/16. So I'm going to do my 10 and 1/16. Now I'm going to turn it to the 8.5 side and do it right, and then do my 8 and 1/16, which is the notch right after the 8, and do that side. Okay, now I have the measurements that I need. So we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way. And since we are all good to go here, let's go ahead and get the scoring done that we're going to need for the top and the box. All right, so we're going to start with the bottom. The bottom, score all sides at 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches. So you're going to score all sides at 1/2 inch and 1.5. Wait a minute, is this my cut piece? Yes. Thought I was messing up again. 1/2 inch and 1.5. That's why I keep my directions close to me so that I can refer back to them often. 1/2 inch, 1.5. And 1/2 inch, 1.5. All right, let's move the bottom aside. I'm going to turn our card over, and then I'm going to do the top. So we're going to do 5/8 and 1 3/8, all 4 sides. So your 5/8 is, if you start with your little blue dots, remember the 5/8 are in between each of the quarters. So there's 1/8, 3/8, 5/8. Now you can go around and do all of them all at once and then move on to the next one if it just makes more sense in your brain. But then we're going to move to 1 3/8. So 1, 1/8, 3/8. I hope that's making sense. I had to learn 1, 3, 5. And that's how I kind of do it. I just make sure I'm doing like 1, 3, 5. Then I go to the 1, 1, 3. And that's how I do it. So 1, 3, 5. I was never good at math in school. 1, 3. But when I started working with paper, I had to learn the 8ths and the 16ths because I wanted to make these boxes. One of my favorite things to do is make these boxes. So I was thinking the other day, you know, 1, 3, if they would have just put me in a class making paper, using paper to learn the 8ths and the 16ths, 1, 3, 5. Oh my gosh, I would have rocked that. Because I've always said, if you meet the kid where they're at and teach them where they're at, they're going to learn much better. I would have learned so much better doing this. Okay, so we have our our top and our bottom. So now we've got the scoring done. Before I move on to anything else, we're going to go ahead and put the top and bottom together. Okay, so we're going to burnish these score lines, and you've heard me talk about this before. Here's the indented part. You want to turn it over, and you want to always make your fold from there, not this way, because you get a nice crisp fold. So we're going to go ahead and do all of that. And I am going to use a bone folder on this because I do want this to be nice and crisp. These are going to be, I have sold these at my craft shows. Great, great sellers. They're unique. And so these are going to make great gift ideas. That's why I'm trying to get these videos out as soon as possible to give you time to work on some of these wonderful ideas. So I have those burnished, okay, beveled edge in. So I'm going to turn that over. Now this top right here is Stampin' Up. It's Night of Navy. I do prefer to use my Stampin' Up cardstock when I am making boxes or things that I want more sturdy cards. I'd rather use these as the bases. It just makes a really nice card and it's not flimsy. And I know some people have the thought, well, you know, you just throw the cards away. They probably just throw the cards away anyway. Well, I don't care. I want to send a nice card and I want it to be nice when I send it. All right, so now what we're going to do, let me have a think. Okay, so where we see this beveled line, I'm going to cut on this side of that beveled line, just on this side. I'm not making indents, I'm not making notches, I'm just cutting on the inside. I'm going to cut on the inside of the line to the right of that. And then I'm going to cut down to the right of the line on this side. Okay, let's get back here. I had a little phone call I had to take. So we're going to go ahead and then just cut just on this side of that little bevel there, because what you're going to want is this is going to be turning in. And so these are the pieces that you want to get rid of. But while I'm here, I am also going to shave this just a little bit on this side so that when I turn it to here, it's not going to catch here and kind of impede that. So I'm going to come over to the white one and it's this exact same process. And I'm going to show you where I'm going to take off of. So you're basically taking off this, this, and this, okay? Now, when I do mine, I do one side and then I do the other. Exactly the same. When I go to glue them and turn them in, it just makes it easier than trying to do it opposite. So we're going to do the same thing. I don't know if you can see the beveled. It's a little bit harder to see on the white, but I'm going to go ahead and take that off. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And you can take it off whatever way makes you comfortable, but it's got to come off. And then, like I said, just on this side, okay? Just a little tiny bit of a bevel there. And then I do like to clip, I should have showed you on the blue one, I do like to kind of clip a little bit away from here too. It's going to be on the inside. Then I'm going to take that off. Now, I might be going the long way around, but I'm going to show you this one more time. So I'm going to go back to this side, and now I'm going to go on this side of that little bevel. I call it a bevel. I don't know what it's called. And then I'm going to go up. Now this time I'm going to go up from this side and just take that right off, because I know I'm going to have to go back in and do it anyway. So this is just a shorter route to get to there. Either way, this is what has to come off. Okay, so we end up with this. And like I said, I like to do this side, then mirror that side, because when this pulls up and this pulls up, you're going to be gluing this down over top, and it gives you a really nice edge. I'm going to go ahead and finish my cutting, and then we'll come back and we'll glue. Okay, so now we're ready to glue. You can use score tape. I just prefer to use glue, but you would put it on each tab fold it in and line it up, and then here and fold it over. I use art glitter glue. It sticks very quickly and it sticks very well. So I'm gonna just do these first, these tabs, and I'm gonna do both of them. And this is why you're gonna see why I like to do them evenly, so I can do them both at the same time. So I'm gonna turn this in, and I'm gonna kind of press it, but not super hard to start, because I wanna bring that over, and then I want to sort of line that up. I wanna make that even, and then I'm gonna press and get those pressed down, okay? Then I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna glue the tabs and glue the tab, and then again I'm going to press them in, folding this over so I know I'm kind of getting a good little set there. Come on. I think I have, what's going on here? Okay. I think this might be a little bit, I think I needed to take a little bit off of there. Yeah, I do. I feel it catching. So I'm going to go ahead and take just a smidgen off. See, I have that a little bit of that beveled line, so I need to do that over. Now, it may still stick because, like I said, this art glitter glue is really good. Oh, much better. It's going over much better. So I'm going to get that end lined up, and I'm going to get that end lined up, and I'm going to press them down, okay? So then the only thing that we have to deal with is our flaps. It doesn't matter how you press them. Sometimes I do the long ends first, sometimes I do the short ends first. But I do like to kind of turn these back out a little bit, just so they're not in my way and I can get to them. Come on. This is really, really thick paper, so it takes some maneuvering. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put my glue here. And this just helps make a real sturdy box. And then I'm gonna go ahead and press this down. And again, I do like to use my bone folder for this and get that nice and stuck down. And then I'm gonna continue to do the same thing on all 4 sides. And then the white one, the bottom, is gonna work exactly the same way. So again, I'll do it one more time, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. So I'm gonna go ahead, and sometimes I like to do a test run too. So like when I ran into the part that needed to be cut a little bit, I don't have to do that while the glue is drying on me, because it does dry pretty quickly. Okay, so again, I'm going to put glue on the flap, and I try to get it like to the edge too, like of the outside, because that's where it's going to be, you know, butting up, and I just want to have a nice strip of glue on there. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring this in, and I'm checking my edges and fold that over just to see how it's looking. And I want to make sure these are good enough, close enough, good enough. And I'm going to push those down, and then I'm going to go around and finish the rest of it. Okay, so you're going to see I have 2 box lids here. For some strange reason, and I wanted to put this in here so you see I make mistakes too, this lid does fit the first one that I made. It fits, but I think I must have got the measurements, or I was off on my scoring. I was off. Wait a minute, this is the first one. Oh, it was this one. I was off because this bottom half should have been 5.5. Now this fits on the 5.5 just fine, and it also fit on the first one that I didn't measure right, but I can see, did I do something where I went in a little bit too far? I tried to watch the video, but I think I was out of shot. The reason I had to go back and make another one is the next part coming up, which is going to be putting our slats inside. And this one, the largest one that is supposed to go across here, was not fitting, is when I was like, well, okay, wait, what did I do? All right, so I went back and made another one and fixed that problem. Okay, let's get to making our little dividers. Now, at this point, if you don't want to do the dividers, you can absolutely, I would put like maybe this patterned paper on the bottom and then leave this wide open. And then this could be my, just an open box. But because of the way we're doing it and what I'm intending them for, we are going to do what my basic intention was. So, all right, let me see. Did I have to get the right one? Yeah, we gotta get that other one out of the way. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I have blue ones because I had made blue ones for another box, and then I was like, wait, you want to match your bottom. You want to match white to white for your dividers. So I'm gonna get these out of the way, and then I'm gonna bring in my trimmer. And then what I'm gonna need is, let's get my little, so I need dividers. They're all gonna be 2 3/4, but these dimensions will change. So I'm just gonna start out with the 2 3/4 and get that out of the way. Again, I'm just using a white piece of paper. So 2 3/4, I'm gonna need a couple of those, I can already tell. And 2 3/4, and I can probably get another one. So yeah, you want to match the bottom because you don't want like a stark white and then have your blue sticking out. So let me come back over here where you can see. So I need one at 6 1/4. And then I need one at 5 1/4 and 5 3/4, and this one doesn't match up, so we're gonna do 5 3/4, and this one I may get my 5 1/4. Yeah, so I think I have to take a little bit of a smidgen off of there. All right, so I was able to get all 3 out of that one, and I still have more. All right, let's get that out of the way. Now I'm going to bring my scoreboard in, and then we are going to score these. I'm just going to do one on camera, and I'll do the rest off. So we're going to score all sides, all 4 sides at a half an inch. So a half all the way around. And then we're going to score each of them 1 3/8. So remember, we go to the 1, and then we go 1 3, and we're going to go 1 3/8. Okay, I'm going to do the others in a minute, but I'm going to get this out of the way. So there's a little bit of cutting away, and we're going to fold these. I'm not worried about the indents like I normally am, because I'm not going to sit and flip everything this way and that way, and it's just, yeah, it's just too time consuming. And so here's what we're going to want to cut away. We want to cut away each corner. So I'm just going to go on this side, and I try to make it real small, that little indent, as you can see, and I'm going to do the same here. And then I'm going to go down the middle, but I'm going to go just a sliver on each side. Okay, so when this goes into the box, this is what's going to hold the edges. So I'm going to get the rest of them done. And then, oh, and we're also going to glue in the middle here. And then you're going to end up with these indents, okay? Or dividers. So these are what you're going to end up with, okay? This one would go this way, and then they're going to divide. Now these I made, and this is what I'm going to use for the bottom of my little container, and I'm going to cut this to the measurements that I have here, but I'm going to make sure that when I'm cutting these so all the pattern goes down. So I'm going to cut this way, and then I'm going to measure it for the pattern to go down. So we'll get to that. Let me go get that done, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have my dividers all ready to go. And the way I like to start is with my first one. I'm going to use this a little bit to help guide it, but there's going to be another element that I put in, another divider that's really going to get me where I want to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my little divider in there, and I'll give you a glance at all those measurements as well. I'm going to set my divider in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue. Now you can use tape as well with this. You can use score tape, but I'm a glue girl, so I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to bring this up a little bit. I'm going to slide it in there, kind of set it down, but I'm also going to grab my other piece over here, my second longest piece. I'm also going to look to see, does it look straight? Where does this end up? And this looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I'll get all of my little corners afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I have my other little piece for my Rolo here, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to turn it this way so I can sort of get a bird's eye view over here. Okay. And I'm going to slide that in. I'm going to lift that up a little bit. See where that's hitting. I want that to be straight. And then, again, I'm just kind of get a bird's eye view. And there we go. And now I have that one. So I'm going to put that back in there. So if you're making several of these, because I make a lot of these, I do it this way. I have my little inserts to help guide this process. And then I'm going to put my little Kit Kat one in there. It doesn't matter. It can go Kit Kat or Twix, whichever way it ends up. One's a little bit bigger than the other. Now you can design these for any different types of candies. These are just the ones that I have found to be very popular, people's favorites. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set that down, kind of get that in there. And there we have it, and push them down. Okay. So now I'm going to go back, I'm going to take these out, and then I'm going to go back and very strategically, I'm going to add some glue in here. And I'm just being willy-nilly about it, but I am going to try to keep this straight. Same thing over here. I suppose I could do it all at once, but I just like to make sure them bottoms are where they need to be. Okay. So I'm going to finish all of those little edges, gluing them, making sure these are straight. But until I get that done, before I move on, now we're going to do the bottoms. Okay. The whole bottom of my little, excuse me, of my little case here. And like I said, my recess is going to go here. And so I'm going to start with that one. This one's a little bit wider. So let's see, I can do one, can do this one and this one. So I'm going to start with my Kit Kat first. So I need a 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. So I'm going to turn my paper this way. And I want 4 1/4 is going to be my width. So let me get 4 1/4. Okay, and then it's going to be, wait a minute. Oh, see, I did it the wrong way. I need 4 1/4 this way because I want it to be in the same direction. So 4 1/4. And because I know this video is going to be long, I'm kind of in a hurry. So I'm going to turn this to 2 3/4. And that's going to give me my little insert for here. I just like, and sometimes you do have to trim it off a little bit, but I like the way it makes the box look. I feel like it just gives it a little bit more than just this white base. And I do glue those in. So let's see, I need this way. Sometimes that's why I keep them with me, because I need 5. My 5 has to go this way. So I'm going to trim it down this way first to 2 3/8. 2/8. 1 1/8, 3/8. So if you're doing them, making a little template works out really well. And then 5 3/16. So there's 5 1/16 and 5 3/16. Trying not to get my head in there, which is in between the 1/2 and the 1/8. And like I said, sometimes I do have to go back and trim them again. They're just a little bit big and I have to take a smidgen off, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to save this because this is also going to be used to finish off the box. So I'm again going to go, let's see, I'm going to go this way with the Twix, which is 4. So I need to do 4 that way, but I need to do 2 inches this way. I'm trying to keep a lot of this angle because I need it for the box lid. Okay. And then 4 1/4. Okay, so that's coming together. I might have to make a few adjustments. And then because I want this one to be this way so that they're all matching, this is going to be, let's see, 4 3/4 by 7/8. All right, so my 7/8, I'm going to come this way, is just before the 1. So I'm going to do my 7/8. And that looks good. And then 7/8 and 4 3/4. Yeah, it's a little bit extra, but you know, I think more is more. More is better. And then I would have all my little pieces to go in there. All right, so this is the hardest part that we're getting through. I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing all of these together, get my pieces laid in there, and let me just lay these out for you, if I can find the other one. And then if you want to get an idea, you might have to make your own, but this is the Rolo, this is the Reese's. So it would go like this. But I'm going to lay them this way so you can get a snapshot of it if you want. And then, of course, I got tired of trying to lift them up from the side, so I put these little tabs so they were easy to get in and out of my template. This is a template. I never use this one. It's always my go-to template. All right, let me get this done. Actually, while we're here, I think I can move on to this point. So now we're going to take the lid, and for the lid, okay, we're going to do 5/8 all 4 sides. So, oh, that was the top. Wait a minute. So for the top, if you can read it, I did, let's see, for the lid, 7 1/8 by 5 1/8. 2 7 1/8 by 5/8. Let me think about this for a second. Well, I have to rewrite that. So yeah, so this is 7 1/4. So that's what I did. So this is going to be, first of all, I'm going to do some 5/8. I'm just going to do some long edges of 5/8. So here's 7/8 is here, 5/8 is before the half. So I'm going to do, is that straight up there? Yeah, it's straight. Let's do 1. I don't like to do them when I can't grab onto them because they don't turn out right. Oop, 5/8. Let's see, 7/8, 5/8. Yeah, when they get this small and you can't really hold them in place, they shift on you. So we'll see what I can get out of that. Yeah, I like to do that. I have to hold it real tight. We'll see what happens. Not too bad. Okay, so I have those, and I'm going to do a long one. Okay, and I'm going to do one more just in case I need it. I will need it for the long side. So 5/8. All right. That's what my note was. So I need 2 that are 7 1/8 by 5/8. So we're going to do 7 1/8. Get this down where you can see it, hopefully. 7 1/8. I'm going to do 2 of those. 7 1/8. And then I'm going to do 2 of them at 5 1/8. Because this is 5 1/2, I think. 5 1/4. So that's why I want the 5 1/8. Because I want a little bit of a border. And 5 1/8. Okay, so I think I'm going to, let's see, do I want to ink these? All right, so I'm going to go, no, they don't need to be inked. So I'm going to go ahead, and these are going to go all around the outside of the box. And then we're going to go ahead and bring in the snowman. And I'm going to slip in here well, I printed one, I'll show you. So these, like I said, were from the chip bags. And then the way I had to cut them down to fit on the lid was this ended up being 5 by 7. So basically, I just cut off wherever I could. I cut off all the borders, but of course I left the words, and so I had to cut and then make it 5 by 7. So you'll have to figure out your measurements and where that's going to land to kind of hit the middle, and then you're going to cut those off. And then for the inside, which I thought was really cool, is I then cut these off, which you could actually do your folds and do this first and get it glued and then cut your edges off and do your cutting, but you do it how you want. I cut them off to the way I need them. First I cut, let me explain this again. I cut all of this. I cut all of this. I got these to the sizes that I needed them, okay? And then I cut what I needed here and what I needed here. Then I cut off the other part over here. But I did leave this part that will overlap. So you're going to see that when I get to it. So I'm trying to get this video done. I know it's a little bit of a long one, but my snowman is going to sit here. My inside information is going to sit here, which I thought was super cute. I'm going to put on my borders, and I'm going to put on my candy, and then I'll be back to show you the finished product. Okay, I decided to come back before I do this last part, and then we'll go over this a little bit, but I went ahead and put some glue on there, and I'm just going to butt it up to that line, and then over here, I don't care if the black line shows a little bit because it does show on this side, and I'm over a little bit over here, but I'm just not going to worry about it. And then this is going to go on the inside of the lid. Because the chip bags were so cute, I just could not just use the front of them and then not use the insides of them. So I guess I should have gone a little bit over. I guess I'll go over the black line because I'm a little bit off there. And then I won't have to trim again. Okay, so we're going to put this back in there, and looking at it, I probably could have cut off a little bit less on the top of this, but we're going to just go with it. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue that in there. It doesn't have to be super tight, just as long as it's not falling out when you open up the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I think that looks good. Because I just could not get rid of this part because it's so cute. Like, rolled in laughter, dressed in cheer, a frosty friend brings warmth so near. With carrot nose and eyes of coal, he sprinkles joy on every soul. And then there's like, you know, warm hugs, 100%, like the calories. Giggles and laughter, 95%. I mean, it's just so cute. Okay, so if you haven't seen my chip bag series, I'm going to throw that in there too. All right, now we're going to put our candy in. And there's our Kit Kat. There's our Rolo. And there is our Twix. And like I said, you can leave it just open if you want. And then that way you can just put one big item in there. But yeah, isn't that cute? All right, so the reason I used this paper was I just couldn't find anything that I really wanted to use. This is just scrapbook paper that matched the box. So I ended up using that. Now, this one I am finishing. I just have to finish. And this comes from, obviously, the chip bags. And I think this was gingerbread Christmas or gingerbread bakery. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to make my inserts, and I'm also going to do the outsides of the box. And I wanted to tell you when I place these on, so I put my box on like this, and then I place my snowman, and then I take it off, and then I rub really good from the inside so that I can get that snowman stuck down around the sides. Also, when I put my sides on, I actually lean it up like this and then put my sides on. I got candy in there now. This one doesn't lean up all that great, but it leans up enough where I can just hold it and put my strips on. But isn't that cute? Aren't they cute? Okay, let me show you a couple more. I'm not going to open them up because they're all the same. They're all the same. And like I said, these are one of my best sellers. Well, maybe I will open them up so you can see the way I've done the insides. And then I've done the reindeer crunchies. Super cute. And then, of course, you have to have the Grinch. You have to. So whoever snatches that up real quick is going to be lucky because I only have one of them. So I'm going to get this one done, and then I will have 5. My craft shows will be done by the time you see this, but yep, these are all going to the craft show. So I hope you found this fun and interesting, and this will end my series. This will be my 8th one, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And give me a like if you did, or give me a comment if there's anything I didn't explain correctly. I'll do my best in the comments. Again, this was a hard video to make because I make them, but I've never taught it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great season, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.